Hey y'all, it's week 16 on Wegovy. This week I'm focusing on trying to get more protein into my diet because that's definitely been lacking lately. So this week we're going to be doing a turkey sausage and mushroom strata, which is kind of like a savory breakfast bread pudding. I'm also going to be doing a sausage and cabbage skillet. You guys are probably so tired of seeing those by now. They're just a favorite for me. We're going to be doing some slow cooker French dips with caramelized veggies, and lastly some creamy chicken tacos. So all the recipes as usual will be down in the description below. If you're interested in a detailed calorie and macro breakdown of everything that I ate this week, there will be a link in the description to my FitnessPal profile where you can view my food diary. If any of these recipes sound good to you, be sure to give the video a like. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get cooking. Crunchy. Good flavor. No serve. All right, we're going to start this sausage and mushroom strata. We have mushrooms, some turkey sausage left from our biscuits and gravy. We also have Parmigiano Reggiano, some ciabatta, some eggs, green onion, paprika, salt, reduced fat cheddar, and some cashew milk. Let go. So good. All right, let's try out this breakfast strata. It's basically a very eggy, savory bread pudding, which I'm not mad about. After having waffles for a couple weeks in a row, it's really nice to have something savory. That's really, really good. I love the mushrooms, and the eggs are fluffy, and the cheese is doing its job. It's really creamy. The turkey sausage has good flavor because I broke it up into those tiny pieces. It's just kind of throughout the whole thing. And the green onion just gives it that little pop of brightness. You could definitely put some fresh herbs in here if you really were feeling excited. Some basil would probably be good in this. But honestly, I think it's perfect just as it is. The bread on top got really crunchy. So it's got a lot of fun textures in it because the stuff on the inside is really soft from soaking overnight. This would be a great brunch idea because you assemble the whole thing the night before and then just throw it in the oven. I didn't use a 9x13 pan. I used a little bit smaller of a pan. So mine needed to bake just a little bit longer. I temped it just because I've had salmonella before and I'm not a fan. So it needed just a little bit longer in that smaller pan, but it is absolutely delicious. You should definitely give this one a try. Really easy for meal prep. It makes 8 servings that are going to be, for me, extremely filling. I don't even know. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, give this one a try, guys. Really good. So here's the thing. I don't even know if you can call this a recipe. I debated even putting it on here, but here's the thing. This is like one of my favorite lunches. I know I've had a lot of sausage skillets on here recently, but the reality is this is my favorite one. It's also the most basic one ever. So I'm just going to show you quick how I put it together. Okay. I'm going to cut some stuff up and use one of these chicken apple sausages. Chicken apple sausages. These are 150 calories a link. They're the ones from Sam's Club. And I'm just going to slice these up into little coins. This one tried to get free. I washed him off. Okay. This cabbage has been sitting in my vegetable drawer for a few weeks now. So it's going to need some love. Yeah, that's probably enough cabbage for like 2 lunches right there. Ignore my disgusting stovetop. So you don't have to use butter here, but I have been having difficulty meeting my calorie goal all the way. And like, I'll end up waiting all the way until the end of the week, and then I'm just like trying to pound massive amounts of calories. And if you're on Wegovy, you know that is not an easy thing to do. And it's also not necessarily a healthy thing to do. So, just melting a little bit of butter here. This butter is delicious, and it packs a punch calorie-wise. Half a tablespoon is 50 calories. Alright, so I'm going to start with my cabbage because it takes the longest to cook. The sausage is already cooked, it just needs to be warmed through and browned. So I'm just going to throw in a big old handful or 2 of this cabbage. You know how greens do, they shrink a lot when they cook. Okay. That looks good to me. And I'll save the rest for later this week. Alright, and if you watch my channel at all, or if you watch Kim's channel, you will know I love for the Buttery steakhouse seasoning. It's delicious. I'm going to add a whole bunch of that. A bit more salt because it doesn't have a lot of salt and that is a lot of cabbage. And I'm going to add a little extra garlic because cabbage and garlic go hand in hand. And I'm pretty much just kind of going to let that cook down. I have it on high heat because I like a little bit of brown on the edges, but you can definitely turn it down. You can put a lid on it. You can stick some water in there if you want to. It's going to release some liquid on its own. You can see I'm getting some brown edges there already. And like Amberelle says, brown food tastes good. I also like my cabbage with a little bit of crunch in it still, so once I get that wilted down a little bit, like probably to about here, I'm going to add in my sausage. When you realize you definitely should use a bigger pan. And this is very much, obviously, a low-carb option. This is keto-friendly. That was actually when I started eating this, was when I was on a keto diet. And it was a staple for me. I ate it probably 3 or more times a week. So I'm just going to let that go until it's all good and browned and the cabbage is mostly wilted, but a little bit crunchy still. And the sausage has started to brown around the edges and it's warmed all the way through. And that's it. Okay, I've had it a million times, but whoops. If you have a Costco membership, get the Idell's chicken apple sausage. This is good. It's not as good as the Idell's, but probably didn't need to add as much salt as I did. I went a little overboard. But It's really tasty. I know all the other sausage skillets I've done have had potatoes. And I love potatoes. I really do. For some reason, when you put potatoes in a skillet, for me, they get lost. They're just like a weird mushy texture. They don't stay crispy. I don't know. Like, I'd almost rather have them mashed and then just pour the skillet on top or something. But, I mean, I don't miss the potatoes at all in this. So why bother? You know? A lot of the times when I eat low-carb meals, I'm like, I miss the bread, or I miss the potatoes, or I miss the pasta, or whatever. But with this one, I don't. I just like it as it is. It's simple. It's quick. It's delicious. And it's only 250 calories. Can't beat it. All right, so for dinner tonight, we're having some slow cooker French dip sandwiches. I am going to be doing this in the Instant Pot because I don't have enough time to let this go in the crock pot. So we're just going to do the beef part right now, and then later there's going to be a veggie component that I will walk you through. Anyway, so we have some Worcestershire. The recipe calls for sliced onion in with the beef. We know how my husband feels about vegetables, so I'm just going to do some dehydrated minced onion for the flavor, but it'll disappear in the meat. We've got salt, pepper, some beef bouillon powder because it calls for beef broth, but I don't have any. Thyme, some whole peppercorns, some garlic, and some beef roast. This one's a little different. It's not like a thinly sliced type thing because I don't have a deli slicer, so it's just going to be like the recipe calls for just like a pulled beef type situation. So let's get started. All right, so as usual, I'm kind of doing my own thing because this is going to be shredded, and to help myself out, I'm going to actually cut this meat up into pieces. Again, the recipe doesn't call for this, but it will make it more tender and it will make it cook faster. So I probably only got about 5-ish hours before my husband gets home. So 8 to 12 hours for a crock pot version just isn't going to do it for me. So if you have the time to do it low and slow, do it low and slow. The other benefit to cutting this up is I can take out these huge pockets of fat. I'm not worried about having fat in here. These big ones will not melt and they won't dissipate. And I mean, they'd be delicious, but they're not necessary. So I'm just going to take out those big pieces of fat. I am going to keep meat though. So just those big, huge chunks of fat. The recipe called for an eye roast, a beef eye roast. That's not an actual cut. There's eye of round, there's chuck eye, there's several different kinds of eye roasts. I just bought what was on sale at H-E-B, so I got a chuck roast. Honestly, since it's like a shredded type sandwich, chuck roast to me is going to be the best bet. If they had a chuck eye roast, I would have gotten that because those are even more tender, but they didn't, and it would have been a lot more expensive, I'm sure, so I just didn't go that route. Okay. You can see I'm not exactly making these small, I just want them smaller because it'll make them cook faster. A tablespoon of minced garlic, that's about 3-ish cloves. Alright. There's our garlic. So you can see that's more than a tablespoon. I'm not mad about it. A teaspoon of dried thyme or a tablespoon of fresh, if you have it. I do not. That's good. Probably a little shy, but I'm good with it. Oh, totally forgot to put this in the thumbnail, but bay leaves you need also. Recipe calls for a teaspoon of kosher salt, which I ran out of kosher salt yesterday. So we're just gonna add some salt here. You need less than a teaspoon if you're not using kosher. So, but I like salt, so. And then half a teaspoon of black pepper. And a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Sure. 10 whole peppercorns. I think that might be 11, but you know what? It's gonna be okay. Put our dehydrated onion in here. It calls for half of an onion. Mix them around just to get all those seasonings on all of the beef. Get it down in there. And then we need 1 bay leaf. And it says 2 to 3 cans of broth. Well, which is it, 2 or 3? I guess we'll just do 32 ounces and 4 teaspoons of bouillon. I'm just gonna, here, I'm gonna take this bay leaf out. I'm gonna 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna use that bouillon like seasoning on the beef, and then we're just gonna pour the water. Recipe also calls for rosemary, but I don't have any because I don't like it. So that's just the way it's gonna be. My kitchen, my rules. Okay, let's coat all that beef with the beef bouillon. Good and good. And then we're gonna add the water, which is gonna end up being our jus later. Add in that bay leaf. And then I'm gonna cook this on, let's see here, I'm gonna put it on pressure, and I'm gonna cook this on high power for an hour, and then I'm gonna switch it to slow cook until my husband comes home. I have a disclaimer about these French dip sandwiches. I've been sitting here smelling them cook for the last couple of hours. I'm about to lick the lid. It smells so good in my house right now. It's an issue. All right, I had this on pressure cook for like an hour, and then I switched it to low, and it's been sitting on low for a while. I'm just checking to make sure. Oh yeah, that's done. All right. Let me check that jus to make sure it doesn't need any extra seasoning or something. Oh, yep, that's yummy. Add a little bit more Worcestershire. All right, we're just gonna grill up some veggies for these sandwiches. The recipe called for onions and bell peppers. I do not like bell peppers, so I went ahead and got a poblano. And then I just have this mountain of mushrooms that I just sliced up because I love mushrooms in a roast beef sandwich. Let's cook these up. I'm drooling. Yes. It's really good. I toasted the bread under the broiler first, and then I put the meat on and the cheese on top, and then I put the cheese under the broiler, and then I put the veggies on top. And we're just eating them with forks and knives because they're too unwieldy to pick up. But really, really good. All right, y'all, we're gonna start these creamy chicken tacos. For the meat, we just need some either boneless, skinless chicken breast, chicken thighs. I still have these leg quarters I'm trying to work my way through, so I'm gonna take the skin off and cook them on the bone, and then I'll just take them off the bone once they're done cooking. We need a cup of salsa and 6 ounces of cream cheese, which is about 3/4 of a block. I have some, like, part of a block left over from another recipe, so I'm just gonna use that. Let's do this. All right, so I went ahead and took off the skin and the big pockets of fat from my chicken, and it says to put this in chunks, and since I was using my scissors anyway, just gonna chunk up this cream cheese. I only had like 4.5 ounces left from another recipe, so I wasn't gonna like break into a whole other block of cream cheese for 1.5 ounces, so mine just won't be as creamy. If I feel like it's really missing the cream, I can pour some sour cream in there at the end, but I think this will be just fine. Okay, so there's the cream cheese. And then we're gonna do a cup of salsa. Whatever salsa you want. I used the Mark's Good Stuff mild salsa. It's made in Texas, so I don't know if you can get it everywhere, but it's really good. And this is just gonna go on low for 6 hours or high for 4 hours. So we're gonna stick it on high and it should be delicious. All right, let's taste these tacos. I just added some cabbage and I threw together some homemade pico de gallo and some hot sauce. It's really good. Obviously it's creamy. Because I was gonna put, normally I would put like sour cream or cheese or something like that on my tacos, but I was like, I bet it's not gonna need it because it's already got the cream cheese and the chicken, and I was right, like it doesn't need anything creamy. The crunch from the cabbage is really good, and the freshness from the pico, it's perfect. It really doesn't need anything else. Super good. Definitely try these. For as easy as they were, one of my favorites so far. Alright guys, that's it for this week. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments which recipe you're planning to try. I post cooking and weight loss results videos every week, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know how much weight I lost eating these delicious recipes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you wanna go out, we can go out. We can hide away just for